welcome back to another episode of our life seasons where we talk about different seasons of life and how we grow through it. I'm your host, Wen. You already know it. I always wrap up every episode with a bonus, so be sure to stick till the end. If you have been loving the podcast episodes, do leave a review of this podcast on whichever platform that you're on and let me know which topics are your favorite. Before I dive into today's episode, I want to thank everyone who has sent me your topic suggestions on our live seasons Instagram stories last week, and I'm very grateful for the requests that I've received. I know that majority of you are here from the relationship series, but I've also received feedback from some of you saying that you guys love my self-help, self-love episodes as well. So I want to take this chance to clarify that even though it may look like I'm transitioning our live seasons to be a relationship podcast, it is not true, okay? Our live seasons will still be a podcast on all things self-care, self-love, and self-help. And relationship is just part of the examples that I give for our mindset shifts and stories that we hold on to that all ties back to the self-help category. And not to worry, okay? So not to worry, I'll make sure that our live seasons is a good mix of relationship advisors and also self-help content, which is why in today's episode, I want to talk about the art, or rather the power of observing people, your surroundings, and your inner world. So the importance of noticing more and actually reacting less to what happens in your life, be it in the situations that happens in your life, or rather people in your life, or maybe your thoughts. So noticing all of this are super important. And I want you guys to think of observation as like a superpower. If you listen to most of my recent episodes, I talk a lot about observing and standing still. Let people show you who they are as a person. Let the universe show you how good life can be. Let your mind prove to yourself that whatever you desire is made possible for you as long as you trust, surrender, and you observe. So an example is that in episode 39, if you guys remember, I actually talked about the lessons my 4-year relationship taught me. So one of the lessons is to observe more, and I talked about it again and again in episode 30 and 31. So the reason why I keep repeating myself like a broken recorder is because I feel that whenever we hear creators talk about the life skills that we should have, is usually on like being able to adapt to whatever situation that life hands you, or having a strong positive mindset, or just loving yourself, and all like, the commonly shared skill sets that we think we need. And it is important, right? All these skill sets are important, don't get me wrong. But I don't see a lot of people talking about this skill set of observing. And this is one that I feel like is really life-changing for me, in my opinion, because I've actually gone through it before, right? I've learned this along the way of my healing journey or life journey, and I thought it's about time I actually make an entire episode on it, just because it's so important. So here we are. Let's start with why observation is a foundational skill that can actually significantly impact various aspects of your life, right? Be it in career, relationships with your friends, partners, and yourself, or your money mindset, and even perspective on life. So these are the things that having these observational skills can actually help you in so many areas of your life, or even for me, like in so many areas of my life. I've actually seen it impacting these few areas, and it's honestly quite interesting and quite amazing. Okay, so what I want you to do is this. If you're someone that is constantly being in the center of the attention, the one that is doing the talking in any setting, nothing wrong with that, okay? Try to sit back and notice the situation more, the environment, that the people that you're with. I want you to take a step back, pull yourself out of that situation and start to notice, instead of constantly being in, the one that is talking, constantly being in the center of attention. Like I said again, nothing wrong, okay? If I know that certain people, they just love talking, and they are just like the party of that group, and that's okay, right? We need people like that. But if you're like me and you want to kind of learn how to slow down and take a step back and really being able to observe people, because maybe you have been hurt before, or you just feel like you're constantly the one doing the talking and you just don't know if people actually see value out of that, I think this is when observing is very important. Whether or not you're a people's person or you're just introverts in general, I feel like everyone should learn how to observe. Okay, so trust me on this. I know it can get really uncomfortable, especially in a one-on-one setting, and especially if you hate awkwardness or just the silence. Trust me, sit through it, okay? I promise you. This is going to help you notice things that you have never actually noticed about yourself before, or even about the person that you're having a conversation with. So because to observe, you have to be in the present moment. There is no way that you can observe and be harping on the past or worrying about the future. You are just there, present at that very moment, observing what's happening around you when you start observing, okay? Give people the chance to speak and take it as an opportunity for you to listen. Of course, I'm not saying to be completely silent, but more of to actually listen and ask questions and allow them to elaborate on it. And through their body language, tonality, whether they get excited about something or you see them getting visibly frustrated by certain topics or something that irks them, you'll be able to know what they like, what they dislike, or how their personality is like, okay? Another reason why we should learn to observe more is because it also helps to keep our egos in check. I know, it's crazy. You start to notice like the difference in everyone's values and perspective. They can be very different and that's okay. You understand and you learn to respect that. As you observe, you'll come to realize that everyone is just so unique in the way that we think, we speak, and the way that we portray ourselves to others. One can be very different in a one-on-one setting as compared to a group setting. This is something that you learn as you observe people, and it's honestly like a game. I treat it as a game and it's very, very, very fun, okay? Especially for me, I love to listen to people talk about what excites them or even what annoys them. And I realized that everyone has one thing in common, and that is passion for what they believe in. And I'm the same as well. You start seeing that people get really passionate about what they believe, and you have this very friendly banter or debate on perspectives, right? And I love to hear what others think about a particular situation. And those conversations are usually conversations that I truly enjoy, and they can be very deep and very like profound. These are the conversations that I love, okay? Honestly, observing is such an amazing skill to have. To be able to observe like the subtle cues of people and understand why they react a certain way or why they have a certain point of view, when you give them an opportunity to speak and not be the one that is constantly doing the talking, you realize that you tend to appreciate a lot of things a lot more. People appreciate you for listening to them as well. So it goes both ways. It's a win-win situation. Learning to let people speak more and you being present helps to keep your ego in check, like I said, right? You learn that it's okay to not be at the center of attention all the time, and it's okay to let people shine. And trust me, what I realize is that people usually become more curious about the observer. The surprise factor is more prominent when an observer speaks, okay? So yes, you can see how like knowing this skill is actually very important in different aspects of your life, right? So let me break it down for you. So in the career aspects, by observing, you can identify areas of improvement in processes, communications, or team dynamics. You might notice like a colleague struggling silently with something that they're working on, and you might take an opportunity to either mentor them or to build that relationship with them to actually help them out, right? You might be able to observe trends that can help you stay ahead of the curve and make strategic career decisions. So you can see how it's super important. Number 2, it affects relationships. Strong relationships are actually built on understanding and observing someone's communication styles, needs, and preferences, allow you to understand why they behave a certain way or why they react strongly to certain topics instead of judging them. You also notice like subtle cues like body languages or changes in vibes, which can then help you to understand the situation better and provide support when it's most needed. Okay. Number 3, money mindset. By observing, or rather by becoming an observer of your money mindset and blockages, you can better understand why you make certain financial decisions and why like your money, or rather your finances, has always had this like blockage, right? And you'll be able to work through it. So perhaps to actually also help you set achievable goals and make informed decisions about savings and investing. Last one, perspective on life. We often get caught up in like this daily grind and miss the beauty around us, right? And I realize that this is something that we've been talking about again and again. Actively observing the world with curiosity can spark joy, creativity, and a sense of wonder. So observing how others approach challenges or navigate life situations can actually help you broaden your perspective and open doors to new possibilities, right? You can spark joy while just being observant at how the world is like or how people react to this world. Their perspective on life will change your perspective on life, okay, when you start to observe. So you can see that there are actually 2 key areas of observation. Number 1 is your surroundings, the people and situations. And number 2 is your internal world, your emotions and your thoughts. So let us split it down, okay? Let's start with observing the world around you. I want you to think about what you can learn from observing your surroundings, okay? So we oftentimes rush through life on autopilot, right? Missing the details around us. So when was the last time you actually stopped to appreciate or take in the trees or buildings that are surrounding you, or even consciously stop for a second and take a deep breath of fresh air? When was it? I can bet that it's not recent, okay? I want you to take this chance to notice the details around you. Take the time now to look at the things around you. And those are the things that are often really unnoticed, right? You don't really notice them. Usually these things are, you're so used to them, or rather we are so used to them that we don't even notice them unless or until they're gone. So I want you to take a walk in nature and observe the leaves on the floor, the way the tree swings or sways with the wind. Appreciate the oxygen that the tree releases for you, for us. Breathe with gratitude, okay? Notice the way the sunlight filters through the trees or the sounds of birds singing. Slow down and observe. More importantly, I want you to show gratitude for it. Learn to be a student of your environment. Whether it's your workplace, your neighborhood, your favorite coffee shop, wherever you're at, learn to pay attention to people, routines, and rules. One of the favorite activity for me is to people watch. And I know it sounds a little bit creepy, but I assure you it's not, okay? I just love to sit and listen to the type of conversations that people have over a coffee or meal, with no judgments, okay? This is very important. And this helps me to put things into perspective or expand my mind and knowledge of the different situations that people are facing in life. Being more appreciative and empathetic to people, right? And it comes in handy when I face triggers. So by observing how people speak or listening to people's conversation, I'm able to be more appreciative of the current situation that I'm in. And like I mentioned, whenever triggers happen, I think that's when whatever that I've learned through noticing, or rather whatever that I've learned through observing, comes in handy. I would always remember some of the tougher conversations that I've heard, and it immediately helps me to put my ego in place when I'm triggered. Okay, so by observing your surroundings, you become more aware of the world you inhabit and the subtle cues that might otherwise go unnoticed. And I find it really helpful to start by observing people's actions. Okay, learn from actions. We are constantly bombarded with information every single day, but how do we actually truly observe what's happening around us? So you've heard me say this before. Pay attention to people's actions, not just their words. I gain a lot of knowledge of that person's value and personality just by observing their body language, tone of voice, choice of words, how they interact with others, and how they talk about things that triggers them. And I want to preface by saying this, okay? I'm in no way saying that I'm perfect and in any way, shape, or form better than them and that I can judge. No, okay? That's not what I'm saying. There is a difference between observing and judging. When you observe, you take everything at surface level. You do not input your opinions or make conclusions and assumptions. You do not try to change someone else's opinions to agree with you. You don't correct them because you know that everyone is entitled to having their own opinions and perspective on things, even if it's vastly different from yours, okay? That is what makes the world beautiful and vastly different because of all the different takes we have on life. So when you observe, it's important that you have this mindset of it is what it is. And that comes from respect and knowing that everyone has gone through different seasons of their life. And most importantly, I always believe that everyone is trying their best to live the best life that they can with what they have. And this mindset really helps to keep me in check. So I don't judge, simply observe, okay? So back to observing through actions. Imagine this. You're meeting someone new. I want you to notice their posture, their eye contact, and how they interact with their environment. Are they fidgety and avoiding eye contact, or are they relaxed and engaged? These observations can actually tell you a lot about their personality and their comfort level. So ask yourself, what can you learn from all these non-verbal cues? What are they doing that aligns with what they are saying? What inconsistencies are there? This observational skills really helps to build your intuition. You start to pick up on vibes almost immediately, like a gut feeling that tells you something is off, right? Your body might tense up around someone who's untrustworthy, or you might feel a sense of calm around people that you feel like are really genuine, right? Trust that instinct. They are powerful tools for navigating the world. It's often your subconscious picking up subtle cues that your conscious mind might miss, okay? So the more you observe, the more intuitive you become. You'll start to trust your first instincts, like those gut feelings, like those just because feelings. Don't pressure to jump into explanations or justifications, okay? I want you to respect yourself enough to know and trust your initial read on situation. If someone's actions don't align with your value, let them be. You don't need their validation and you don't need to try to justify their behavior, okay? Their behavior speaks volume. Again, observation isn't passive. It's about using information you gather to learn and to grow. You can always detach yourself from that situation if you feel like that person values doesn't align with you. That's it. You can't judge them. I don't want you to judge them. I don't want you to have all sorts of assumptions about that person. Just take that at surface level and know that it's okay for them to have their own set of values. It's okay for you to disagree with that set of values, but that is it. Okay, you don't have to justify, you don't have to go up to them and try to explain why their point of view is wrong or why their perspective is wrong. Okay, we don't do that. We just observe. Now, let's shift our focus inwards, okay? Observation isn't just about the external world. It's about observing your own internal world as well, and that is very important. Observing your thoughts and your emotions. So actually, have you ever noticed how your thoughts can actually run wild, creating like a whirlwind of anxieties or negativity when you let yourself spiral? Because I sure have. I sure remember like the times that I just let myself spiral and the thoughts that I have is just not helping me, right? So by observing your thoughts, you learn to pull yourself out of it almost immediately and allow yourself to detach from your negative emotions and the stories that you choose to hold on to. You become the witness of your emotions and thoughts and not the victim. You're not in it. You pull yourself out of it. So by observing your inner world, you gain a deeper understanding of who you really are and why you react the way you react. Okay? I want you to think about this. How often do you actually get caught up in reacting to situations before you even understand your emotions or that situation? When we feel disrespected, we lash out at someone, right? When someone says something hurtful to us, we get all defensive. And here's when observation comes in, okay? Value yourself enough to know that you don't need to explain yourself or demand explanation from others. Their actions, not their words, speaks volume about their respect for you. So when you observe a situation without reacting, you actually empower yourself. You don't need anyone's validation, okay? This takes a ton of practice. So if you relate, I want you to start observing your emotions. Don't judge your emotions. Remember how I said that the key to healing journey is to allow yourself to feel through your emotions in episode 34? Simply acknowledge them and observe how they affect your thoughts and behaviors, okay? Our minds are constantly chattering, but how often we actually listen to them is the question. So I want you to take some time each day to simply observe your thoughts and the stories that you are choosing to hold on to, okay? Notice recurring patterns and ask yourself this. Are those thoughts actually helping you? Like, are you constantly criticizing yourself? Are you dwelling on negative experiences? Are those thoughts the ones that constantly get you stuck in this negative loop? Are they helping you grow or bogging you down? What comfort does this thought brings you? Are you approaching situations with a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? So I want you to ask all these type of questions so that you can actually observe how your mind or your thoughts are like on default mode, okay? Pay attention to the constant stream of thoughts running through your mind without judgment. You can then choose to challenge these negative thought patterns and cultivate a more positive mindset, okay? So here's how I like to practice observing my thoughts. I would always find a quiet place and then I would close my eyes. It's like meditation. I would close my eyes and focus on my breathing. So obviously your mind can't really be silent because they are constantly chattering, right? So thoughts will actually start arising. So I want you to simply acknowledge them without judgments again and imagine them as like clouds just drifting across the sky, just drifting in your mind, just drifting away. Notice how they come and go and it's ever changing, right? One thought comes, let it go. Another thought comes, let it go. Do not judge. Do not really dive deep into that. This actually helps you to detach from negativity and gain control over your emotional state. Because like I mentioned a lot of times, the things that we have control in life is your emotional state, your thoughts, and your actions. And all this manifests into your reality. So right now, if you're hating on your reality or you feel like everything is just so tough on you, I want you to always remember to go back to your thoughts. The roots of every single thing starts from that thought, that emotion. Okay, I want you to think about how have you been thinking, what have you been telling yourself that allows all these emotions to like affect your reactions in life or your actions in life, which will then manifest into your reality. Okay, so by observing your thoughts and the world around you, you become more mindful, more intuitive, and ultimately you gain more control of your life. Okay, all right, as promised, before I end, if there's anything that you should take away from this podcast today is to remember this. Observe, don't react. I realize as humans, especially when we are triggered, our immediate response is to always react. It's a fight or flight mode, and majority of us will choose fight when it comes to something that triggers us or something that pisses us off, right? Because we only flight when we are fearful. By taking on this observation skill, it'll teach you to actually pause and take a step back instead of reacting immediately. Observe the situation, your thoughts, and your emotions, giving yourself this space to make more conscious choices and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Okay, if you need to, walk away from that situation or person by respectfully requesting time away and work through how you're feeling before reacting, because you never want to say things or do things out of anger, which will then lead you to regret, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, because then you'll create this whole cycle of regret, and then you will beat yourself up for it, and then you'll feel guilty, and then you'll be pissed off with yourself. The whole cycle just repeats, when all you could do is just to request time away and work through your emotions before actually reacting. Okay, and that is responding. Yeah, so observation is an important and powerful skill that takes practice, but the more you cultivate it, the more you'll see and understand the world around you and within you. So remember, observe, don't react. Okay, so that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found this helpful, and start to observe more from now on. Okay, if you have any burning questions or topics that you want me to cover, please drop me a DM on Instagram at Our Life Seasons, or comment on whichever platform that you're listening to so I can get back to you. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.